3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? This is the Undefeated by Choice podcast brought to you by Still Fist. I'm here today with the second half of this month's main event, Mr. Nick Martinez. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, you're the main event, man. We got to get you the time to shine. First thing we always get into, very first and foremost, is a nickname. Now, your fighter bio has no nickname. Is that a real thing? You don't have a nickname? Do we need to give you one?
No, actually, I go Cash Nicholas Martinez. My son's name is Cash. His middle name is Nicholas. Pass the name down, and Martinez. So in my last fight, they announced it. He popped up out of his seat, lit up. So that's kind of what I stuck with.
Awesome. Is Cash in a reference to Mr. Johnny Cash, or no?
No.
That's just what it is?
No, it just sounded cool.
Yeah.
I thought you'd grow up liking it. I liked it at the time, so I still like it today. So.
Okay, awesome. Well, then I'm not going to give you a nickname. I'll tell you what the ones I was thinking of, because they are very particular to you and my experiences with you. One would be Nick Mysterio Martinez, because as I told you, I believe it was after your fight, I told you, like, man, we couldn't find any film on you. We couldn't find anything about you. And you were like, I don't know why. My stuff's out there. I don't know why you guys couldn't find anything. But I was like, you're a mystery. And I asked Hayden about it on the podcast, and I was like, did you find anything on him? Like, did you get any film from him? And he's like, well, I could find it, like, if you really, search for it. Like, it's not easy to find. It's like, he's telling us that he found some hidden tapes on you. But he did reference back to, he got, when your Ultimate Combat, he watched that. And he's like, but that was, 13 years ago, or however long it was, 2008, I believe it was.
I couldn't even tell.
Yeah. And he's like, so I'm pretty sure he's not the same fighter that I watched on that video. So, Mysterio was one. The second one I was thinking was, I would have called you All Smiles Nick Martinez. Because honestly, man, every time I've seen you, it's just all smiles. You're just a smiley, happy dude. And I don't want to go smiley because that's Sam Alvey's. But the very first time I saw you, I can't remember which card it was, but me and Eric Munoz were walking past you, and you just grabbed him and stood up and shook his hand and smiled at him, and I was kind of standing behind him. We walked past, and I was like, who's that? And he's like, oh yeah, that's Misty's husband. He wants to fight. And I was like, what? That was the friendliest interaction of wanting to fight I've ever seen. And he's like, yeah, he just stood up and was like, hey, we're trying to get a fight going. And I was like, oh, okay. And then every time ever since then, I've always seen you smiling. And so I thought, All Smiles would be a good one for you.
Yeah.
So, but you already got Cash. But if you ever want to switch it, I got those two in the bag for you.
I mean, my smiles are money anyway. So Cash works out.
There you go, man. There you go. You're putting it all together. And speaking of your smiles, I wanted to bring this up because I asked Hayden and he wouldn't give us any info on it. You guys' standoff in the ring. You guys are smiling and look super friendly, but he says that there weren't nice things being said. Are you going to tell us the words that were said in the ring?
Well, I'll tell you this much. If you actually watch my fights, you're on the money when you say I smile a lot. Like during my fights, I smile. I get punched, I smile. I smile during jiu-jitsu matches. It's just my thing. So just because we're smiling doesn't mean we're saying nice things to each other, but I feel like we did talk some good trash. What wasn't on camera, that's to be left a mysterious thing.
Okay. You're really tying it all in now.
Keeping that je ne sais quoi going. But, no, I mean, we talk our trash. Everybody does. It's fun to me. It looked like it was fun to him, too. We weren't disrespectful, but, yeah, definitely getting things heated up.
Okay. All right. Okay. I told him, I always feel like he's like a little brother to me, and I felt bad, after we were all leaving, and I started clowning him in front of everybody else together. I was like, you said pack your lunch? That's your trash talk? And I had to kind of apologize. I said, I feel like you're my little brother. And one of these days, I'm going to catch a right hand by you or something. I know you're going to smack me for all the shit I talk, but, I do. Sometimes I just feel like he's a little brother. I tease him, and I was like, pack your lunch? That's what you had? So then I wanted to know what you had said, if it was anything I could tease you about. But, all right, it will remain a mystery. We'll never know what was said in the ring. Maybe I'll ask Cody. Cody was the third man standing in the middle of the ring with you guys, and I could hear him laughing. So maybe I'll ask Cody. I know Cody will. I know he'll let me know what was
he was hysterically scared from all the stuff that was being said. So I don't know. He may be traumatized. Maybe a couple of interviews before he actually spit something out. So
I did say I felt bad for him. I did say I felt bad for him. I was like, what if they would have started throwing down? He was the only one in there. Well, like, what if they would have got into, started getting tough with each other? Cody was the only one in there to break them up. But again, I put my money on Cody. He looks tough. He looks like he's seen some things. All right, man. So let's get into this whole thing, this training camp. Where you're training, who your coach is, how is everything going, and just fill us in on what's going on with you.
So I'm training at Wasatch Combat Sports.
Okay, I love that place.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It really caters to what I'm looking to do. I'm training with Joey Bates personally at his house. We've gone to a gym in Provo where they do a lot of striking and jiu-jitsu and stuff. So he's been more of my ground coach, and they have jiu-jitsu as well at Wasatch Combat Sports. They really have anything that you want, they can deliver.
Oh, they got a full gym there. Like you can work out there if you wanted to.
Yeah. And I mean, the environment's great. Everybody that is at their gym, I feel like everybody feels like their gym's the best because it caters to how they feel comfortable, what they're looking to be as a fighter. Mm-hmm. And I just feel good there. Win, lose, or draw, I've progressed as a fighter because of them, and I appreciate that. So I feel real good there. In my last fight against Eric, I didn't come out on top, but I felt real good about my performance nonetheless. He did real good. He capitalized on an opportunity that was something he had done in a previous fight, but I felt like it was a rare opportunity, but he capitalized, so that really spoke loud for his training. But I didn't feel bad about the performance because of how well my gym has pushed me. There's so much talent there, and I wish I could absorb everything that they teach me, but man,
it's impossible.
You can do this stuff 100 years and still have 1,000 years to go in learning. Mm-hmm. So between Joey Bates, Wasatch Combat Sports, and then friends here and there, it's a fantastic fight camp right now, and it's going real good.
Awesome. I do love that place. We went out there and did some filming with them, and for a project we're working on out there. And I walked into the gym and I was like, this is like the PI Institute in Vegas. Like this is high class. Like sometimes I feel like some of the places I go to, you're trained. Well, it was funny. Me and Caitlin Neal were like, she's like, I literally train out of a garage. Like we train out of, and then we walk into there. We're both like, what is this? This is the Taj Mahal. So, and then the people out there are amazing. Like you said, I've met quite a few of them out there, and they're all great. And you guys are always posting, and you guys got a good group. So it looks like you're getting a lot of different looks. You're getting a lot of different bodies in there that you're able to train with. Are you getting people that are, Hayden size, which is also your size too? I've had Misty, who's in the room right now. I have to bring that up. She's like, Hayden's big, and I was like, I feel like him and Nick are the same size, and you guys are. When we're watching that face off, you guys are the same size. So are you getting people your same size to get in there and train with and get a good look with, or how's that going?
Variety is the spice of life. Some people, some days you're with guys that are smaller than you, some days it's nothing but guys bigger than you, but generally speaking, it's very well rounded on the different styles and different sizes of people that come in. So it's a revolving door there. You see a lot of people coming in and out, injuries coming in and out. So but it's very consistent that it's different. You've
mentioned jiu-jitsu a couple times in your training, and then you talked about in tournaments you're smiling during jiu-jitsu. Is that your passion? Is that your go-to? I know you've won a couple fights via guillotine. Is jiu-jitsu like your go-to, or is it just something that is just an opportunity that's been there in the fights?
I love all aspects of martial arts. It doesn't matter what it is. I think everything has its place inside that cage. There's something you can take from any factum of it. And jiu-jitsu, I think it's fantastic inside the cage because it is the beauty's in the details. It's just the small little things, and it can change a fight. You can be getting beat up on the stand-up and all of a sudden go to the ground with somebody and win it that fast. Mm-hmm. It's something that I think is a necessity these days. Do I enjoy it? Yes, but I myself like standing up more.
Okay.
I prefer the stand-up, punching people, getting that aggression out, and everybody loves to see a bloodbath and everybody punching each other in the face. Whenever you're fighting, you always hear that one guy in the crowd, punch him in the face.
Like I wasn't trying to do that, sir.
there. Yeah, we're just doing a face-off right now. I don't think it's allowed, but you know, so jiu-jitsu is a necessity. Yes, I do like it, but like I said, my love, my passion is more for the stand-up.
Okay, so we should expect a complete banger out of you two, because we know Hayden likes to stand up as well. So this is what, when fans want to come see a fight, this is the one that they want to come see, right?
I'm sure he's got something too.
Well,
he's got something too.
You know, I mentioned when I had posted on the Facebook on the story, who's going to win, what round, how are they going to win. It was a flood of people who were just so excited for this fight. A flood of people who were so, you know, wanted to see this fight end. But the finish was on the ground for either one of you. It wasn't in a stand-up for either one of you. There was no, you know, it wasn't like a knockout. It was either win by submission with Nick or ground and pound by Hayden. So with you two both liking to stand, still everybody's expecting it to eventually go to the ground. So that's why I did ask jiu-jitsu if that's where you're very comfortable, because it seems like that's where people know, or what people know you for, or what people are going to expect out of you is some sort of submission win. So, I mean, this is to me, it's one of those, I feel like it's a striker versus striker match, but then it's wrestler versus jiu-jitsu is what I feel. And so it's the sense of what I'm getting from the people who are going to watch it. So I think all in all, it's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's terrible that I'm going to be in there, you know, getting hit back, you know. But at the same time, it's what I like doing.
Yeah.
You know, at the end, it gives me purpose. It keeps me well grounded.
Yeah. And
to do something where I'm like, oh, this could go either way. You know, it takes my level of training up just that much higher. So it pushes me to that next level, and it's an exciting feeling. It's really gets me pumped as much, I think, as the fans. I think I'm just as pumped as the fans are, if not more.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned you have that smile on your face while you're in there getting punched, and so walk us through that, because you see all the range of emotions with fighters. You see fighters who look scared the entire time, from the moment they're backstage to the moment they're finally leaving, you know, after the fight's over. And then you have people who are completely calm, but then they get in there. So you see the whole spectrum of emotions. And you just said, you know, I don't really like getting punched. You know, I don't really, you know, like it, but then at the same time you are smiling. So what is your mindset backstage? Is there a flip that switches at a certain point? And just walk us through that kind of.
Well, it's really a cocktail of emotions. I mean, I don't know about everybody else, but me personally, yeah, I get butterflies. It's natural. You got your friends out there. You got your fans. You got your family. You've been training for months. You know, you got a lot riding on this. You have a lot of eyes on you. So naturally, you don't want to let them down. You don't want to tell them that fight camp's going great. Everybody's excited to see you win. And then, you know, just that thought of losing. And then it's in my mind that I let everybody down, or I disappointed it. I don't want to let down my gym.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't come down to that. Anytime I've lost, everybody's been so humble and respectful, but still, every time I'm backstage, I'm a wreck.
Yeah.
I'm a wreck. But the minute all of a sudden you hear your name called, the music's going, you know, they're going to close the cage behind us. We're going to fight. That's the time that you got to trust your training. That's the time that you got to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You know, everything else is just foreplay. This is the real time. And when you step in that cage, that smell, you hear the crowd, and your adrenaline's going so hard that you don't even really feel punches and anything else.
Yeah.
Once in a while, but generally speaking, you know, I don't really feel the hits and everything, because everything's just happening so fast. It's the world's longest 15 minutes if you go the distance, or 25 if you're doing a belt. And quite frankly, so yeah, there is a switch. So I guess when I come out and I start walking out, it all makes sense to me. That's the time that I'm like, okay, it's on. Yeah. No more trash talk. No more of that foreplay. It's time for the real deal.
Are you a game plan fighter that you go in with a game plan and you stick to that game plan? Or are you, hey, this fight's gonna go wild, things are gonna get crazy, and I'm just gonna go with the flow?
You know, it's a little bit of both. I mean,
you do check in at points in the fight, say get back to the game plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you can plan something out 100 times, 1,000 times, but you need to be an adaptive fighter. You know, like you can watch tapes of me 8 years ago. You're going off of that all of a sudden. Oh no, this isn't the same person.
Yeah.
So you find out when you're in the cage what's applicable. You know, you can train for everything. You know, so yeah, I do have an idea of what a game plan is, but again, I'm more of an adaptive fighter. See how things are going.
Yeah. So one of the things I never really ask is when your corners. So how long? So are your corners? Have you only been with them for? Have you only been with Wasatch? Have you only been with them for the past 2 fights? This one and the Munoz fight, or have you been with them for a while?
I started with them about a year and a half ago, just before I fought Andy Witt.
Okay.
I did it for a couple months. I heard about the fight. It was offered. I hadn't fought for a while. And I was like, you know what? Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
And I trained with Tandy and Blake back when they're at the Pit Elevated. You know, because I originally trained with Team Unbreakable in Payson. And, you know, they still have stuff going on, but it's not quite geared towards me at the moment.
Okay.
And like I said, I felt good about the way they trained. I felt good about the environment. And when I went to Wasatch Combat Sports, there was a couple familiar faces, and just what I had remembered from their training to when I went in there and started training with them again, it was exactly what I felt was the same. So I stuck with it, and I've just felt good. So I've been with them about a year and a half, somewhere in there. I can't really do a timeline.
Yeah, the reason that was a long journey for me to get to that question. But the reason I was getting to that, I was asking that was I was curious about your current relationship with your coaches and your corner. How is it? You know, in the corner, is it lots of instruction? Is it calming you down? Is it what are they trying to do in between rounds to figure out whatever it is we need to do?
They have a lot of coaches over there at Wasatch Combat Sports, and everybody has their life outside of fighting. And so, you know, who can make it at what time and who's been, you know, doing more one-on-one with me. You know, there's a couple different variables with that. Where my rock and my solid place is with Joey Bates. You know, I can do stand-up with him. I can roll with him. You know, he's a friend of mine, a good friend, and he's a good guy. And I feel very comfortable with him. You know, he speaks very calmly. I can hear his voice when I'm inside the cage. And I trust in his word. So I feel real good about him. And the coaches over there while we're sparring and training and everything else. I mean, I hear so many different voices, and none of them are wrong. So whenever I do whatever I hear at the gym, it's like, okay, that works. So so there's a broad spectrum with them as well. Like Joey Bates is my rock.
I often think corners are pretty funny because you'll hear a corner yelling something, and most of the time it actually applies to both fighters. And so y'all hear a corner yell something, and I'll see the opposite opponent do what he was just commanded to do, and I'm like, that's a coachable athlete right there to take on what the other coach is saying because it's going to work. And cornering is a very interesting job. I've done it quite a few times, and I'm always like, I'm wanting to find like the masters of coaching, you know, like I want to follow them. Like, you know, fighters are looking at other fighters and they want to take their techniques and do what they do. I'd like to pick some brains of some coaches, some corners. But you don't do much of a weight cut, do you? Are you pretty close to walking around on weight most of the time, or do you get crazy?
You know, I've been fighting off and on for a lot of years. You know, I think over the span of like 12 years or something like that. When I first started, it was a tough one for me. You know, I was young. I wanted to go have fun and stuff on the weekends. But, you know, these days, I have my wife who really helps keep me in the guidelines of my diet. She showed me what the keto diet was, and it just works fantastic for my body. You know, I'm not fatigued. I'm not drained of energy. And my body just takes to it, like the muscle mass and everything else. But it's not where I'm so bulky that it's taken away from my cardio. And doing that keto and then having everybody in our house that lives the similar lifestyle, that helps out a ton. But yeah, I walk around pretty close to weight. Like this last one, I walked in at 185 on the money, and I was eating food, drinking water that day.
That's nice.
It wasn't bad at all.
Yeah. So even with a little baby on the way, there's not extra food in the house, and some extra treats to help to take you off your diet a little bit more.
I'm not going to say it's a bad idea to try to take food from a pregnant woman gentleman, but I wouldn't advise it.
Yeah, you'll find out real quick if you can take a punch at that point. Yeah,
that's been my whole fight camp.
Yeah. All right, good. Well, you got your head movement. Your head movement's on point at this moment. So it's all going good. And so you mentioned, on and off for the past 12 years, and I noticed there's a couple spans. I think there was like maybe 2 4-year breaks in that time, and then you get some fights. Is ring rust a real thing? Is it something that you've experienced, or is it 100% just a mindset?
Well, I want to say yes, because one of the reasons, my third fight, I fought a guy named Mario Espinosa. I cut a lot of weight for it. It was a bad time, and it was a real rough fight. We went the full 3 rounds, but it was in the second round I had actually got my orbital broke. I heard it pop, and I thought it was my jaw, and we just beat the snot out of each other for another, 6-7 minutes, and it was painful. There was blood everywhere. He was puffed up, I was puffed up, and I went to my coach at the time, and I was like, Coach, I think something's seriously wrong. I punch drunk here. I'm seeing 2 of everything.
Yeah.
Next day, my eye was purple, went to the doctor, and he's like, your eyeball's sinking. This right here, the bone, it broke here, and now it's floating. It actually got jammed in my sinus cavity. They had to pull it out, plate it, and everything else. And so when I came back, because fighting keeps me grounded, I really love it. I fought Joe Rodriguez, and I was so nervous. He looked big and scary, and I was worried about my eye breaking, but I went in there, choppy training, not a lot of time. So I was scared, and I went in it anyways. And he hit me a couple times. And I was like, oh, my eye's gonna break, After a couple of hits, he wound up winning, and I was like, you know what, that actually wasn't so bad. Took a fight again a couple months later, and it was a lot smoother, because I got past that fear of the injury. And so I don't know if it was the ring rust or if it was the actual injury that was the mental block there.
Yeah, I guess I've considered that a few times. I mean, I thought of that, especially with this most recent with the Thiago Santos fight, where he broke like everything in his leg, and he still went the entire the whole fight kicking. And so like you said, you broke your orbital and went the entire fight still fighting and thinking, oh, something's wrong, but I'm alive, so I'm just going to keep fighting. And then after, it's like, oh, this is now, I don't know if I want to have that broken again. And so it's more, I feel like the injuries like that are more dangerous after the fight than they are in the fight, because in the fight, you're not thinking about it. You're just in the fight. But then after the fight, coming up to the next fight, you're like, is this going to happen again? So I'm glad you brought that up, because I've been thinking about that. Like, how's he going to come back? What's his thought? Is he going to throw kicks? Is he going to, even, I guess the Alden Ashcraft fight, I hope we still see him throwing kicks. He's got good kicks, and I hope we see it again. But it's I didn't think of that. I'm glad you brought that up. So, what? I guess this is the question for everybody. Asks, this is whenever you say so you're a fighter, the first question that most people ask is, how did you even get into fighting? How did this even happen?
Well, I can probably say that any fighter I've met, most of us have decorated past. We have some kind of colored past, and we all got something in there. You got to have that drive to do it. Me, just a little bit of a rough upbringing, where I was fighting a lot as a kid, fighting a lot as a teenager, and then still fighting as an adult. And it just seems so mature after some point. And at one point I was like, I don't want to go to the bar and punch a dude in the face because he called my mom a hoe. This seems stupid. It seemed petty, and I wanted to move on to the next level. And when I was young, I always wanted to be a boxer, but my family just never got me into it. I was running around being a young punk and a knucklehead. And so as an adult, I'm like, I need to find a gym, and at the time there just wasn't very many out there. And the ones that were out there, it's like, how do you find them? Because the internet, you Google it, nothing.
Yeah.
And Yeah, I was like, I want to go into the cage and I want to find somebody who's working hard to fight. I want to work hard to fight and show who's really got it.
Yeah.
You know,
really test yourself.
I wanted to be a professional. I wanted to be a professional fighter, and that's the only way I saw it. You can beat up these guys in the streets, and that gives me no credit.
Yeah.
That doesn't give anybody credit. And you know, you see that on a lot of the higher level fighters in the UFC and stuff. It's hard to find training partners because you always have those people coming off the streets that have to prove that they can beat you up, you know. And for us, we're just trying to get to the next level. We're just getting ready for this fight, and they're out for blood, and they're doing it for the wrong reasons, I believe.
Yeah.
So me, I wanted to be a professional. I wanted to show class, and I just wanted to grow, and that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, and that's and it's in my opinion, you actually exude that perfectly because as you're saying, you know, I had this checkered past, and I was fighting people in the streets, and then as I mentioned right at the very beginning, is I've only seen you be professional. I've only seen you smiling and shaking hands and being polite, and not being. It's not in no way is it you're like holding back, or you're not, but you just, it's not like you're posturing. It's like we're professionals. We're going to do this. We're going to step in the ring. We're going to fight. We're going to get paid for it, you know, and we're going to both train really hard for it. We're going to see who's the best at the end. And so, you know, if that's what you were going for, is to be an actual professional in this, I'd say right now you are, I mean, from everything I've experienced with you, nothing but professionalism. So.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so you're
a compliment of my end.
Yeah, absolutely showing that. So August 9th is coming up. Hayden Brown, this is his pro debut. Is he going to be in a bit of a shock with the change from amateur to pro? Is this going to be something new for him that you think you're definitely going to be able to capitalize on, that, you know, elbows and head kicks and these new type of, you know, new rules and new situations you're going to find yourself in? It might be a bit of a shock.
I think it may have a small factor, if any. You know, I'm not going to bank on, he doesn't remember elbows or anything like that, because elbows can be really mean, and I don't want to bank that he's not going to hit me with it. You know, I'm sure he's got a pretty good training camp that he goes with. A lot of the guys I've seen him train with are pretty tough dudes, and a lot of them are professionals, so I think that transition for him shouldn't be too hard.
Okay.
So, I mean...
You're not counting on being able to shock him. You're just counting on outworking him. All right.
Well, I'm going to shock him, just not in the sense of, now you're professional. This is shocking.
I didn't know that elbow was going to come. Okay. I just had to ask, because I know that, you know, in my training, the way I train, I fight like an amateur. You know, I'm ducking my head a lot because I'm not worried about a head kick. And so I'm putting my head in dangerous places, and people are like, if I could head kick, I would have got you. And I'm like, but you can't. So good luck to you. So I just, you know, I always wonder what that transition would be like if I really got in there with a pro and would have to do that. But I mean, you've only been fighting pro. Is that right? You went straight into pro.
Yeah, I mean, when I did it, there was nothing.
There's no amateur. Yeah, the ultimate combat experience. There's no amateur. What was that experience like, fighting, going into that first fight with the, you know, by then Ultimate Combat experience was pretty established by then, right? Pretty much everyone knew what it was, and everybody had been watching it on TV in their basements, and so what was that experience like, going in there, having your very first fight, you know, very first pro fight on TV, and you know, what was that like?
Oh man, I felt like a rock star.
Yeah.
And it was great, you know, at the time. I was with Team Unbreakable, and there's a lot of tough guys training there at the time, and it was very diligent, really hard, and we would go up as a team. You know, it was great. You know, you'd look over and there's the 5 guys you've been sparring with that whole month, and then you have these random guys kind of coming in, and a couple other people from a fight team and stuff. And so, you know, I just had that sense of confidence because I looked at who I trained with, just like now I look at who I train with. I'm like, these guys are beasts.
Yeah.
You know, this should just be another day.
Yeah.
And it went in there, and I knew it was going on TV, and I felt like I did a fantastic job. All that training just came in, and it flew, you know, because I didn't know what to expect going in the cage. And, so I felt like a rock star. It was great.
On your record, it just says a win. How did you win your first fight?
Actually, I looked. The two, Tapology and Sure Dog, they don't really reflect my record, and I don't care too much about that, but my first fight was against a guy named Ruben Carlos, and it was a little bit of stand up, and then just wound him going to the ground, and I got him in a rear naked.
Okay.
And then my second fight, it was a 21-second knockout.
Okay.
And so I mean,
nice. Yeah, that's the most fighters. I feel like that's most fighters' dreams, is to get that actual knockout. And no matter what you're good at, even if you're a jiu-jitsu guy, you're like, I just want to knock somebody out one time. So going in there and getting 21 seconds, that's got to be a good day.
Yeah.
And you get paid for it too, because now you're a pro.
Yes, sir.
Nice. Let's see here. I jumped the gun because I was gonna ask about the ground and pound versus jiu-jitsu question. We already kind of got into that, but is that let's see. I'm not gonna get into that again. That's very interesting to me, because I had just mentioned in the last. With the last fight, the Brian Thomas Carson Hardman fight, Carson's got good jiu-jitsu, and I felt Brian was able to nullify that with his ground and pound. And so I was kind of commenting on, does good ground and pound nullify good jiu-jitsu, or vice versa? Is ground and pound put you in a position to get caught in jiu-jitsu with some sort of submission? And so with all the comments leading up to your fight of, oh, he's going to catch him in submission, he's going to ground and pound him, that's something that keeps a narrative that keeps playing in my mind, is what's going to shine for it, what's going to happen in that situation. And so again, like, I'm so excited for this fight. I'm actually kind of glad that we've had this longer break for me to be able to put more of my attention onto this fight, because sometimes the fights come up so quick. I'm like, oh wait, let me, I want to dive into this fight and see what's going on. But thinking about this fight with you and Hayden, I've been dissecting it, I've been asking people, I've been talking to people, and I can tell you right now, this is a fight that people are just excited to see. They just want to see it, and there's no question why this is a main event, why you two are going to be, all the lights are going to be on you two. So I mean, is there anything you want to say before we get into my little trash talk segment, or anything else? Is there anything you want to tell your fans to expect, or to be looking out for in this fight?
Well, I respect Hayden. I respect anybody I step in the cage with, and my sense of respect when it comes to fighting is that I'm going to train my hardest, and I'm going to fight my hardest. So the more I respect you, you better watch out, because I'm going to come at you just that much harder.
Yeah.
And Hayden, he's a young man, and he's got a lucrative career ahead of him. He's already accomplished so much, and I respect how far he's come. So I'm definitely going to bring that. So with that being said, that's not going to be just looking at each other and walking around the cage the whole time. No, it's going to be action.
Okay.
He's not a soft fighter. He's not pitter patter. Neither am I. It's going to be high energy, and it's going to be great.
Awesome. Well, I mean, you said better than I ever could. All I can just do is get a big smile on my face and say, I'm excited to see this one. I'm excited for this fight. You fought for Still Fist before, and you fought for other organizations. How do you enjoy working for Still Fist, or fighting for Still Fist? And what are we doing good? What can we do better? Let us hear it.
I couldn't thank Still Fist enough. I feel just so welcomed. I feel like a real professional. I feel like they really have this down to a science. Anytime it comes to paperwork, blood work, setting up the fights, anytime I see a Still Fist card come up, I'm like, oh, that's a great main event. That's it. It doesn't get better. And then all of a sudden they put out the next one. I'm like, oh my God, how did they just do that?
Yeah.
So I'm taken back by it. And so when I got the main event, I was like, I consider that a high honor, because they do put together really good cards. They take people from not just local areas, and they don't do these one-sided fights. They do some really challenging fights, and they really promote us as fighters, and it's a clean facility we're always fighting in. It's not like a rundown facility or anything, so they take really good care of us as fighters with the insurance, injuries, anything. I have never had any problems with Still Fist, and I love fighting for them, just because it almost feels like a family when you're there. They just take care of you that much.
Awesome. Well, we love to hear that. Just those are the compliments we love to hear, because we want that to be the experience that every single person has with us. So I'm glad that you're getting that. now we get to the point where we actually get to hear your trash talk. We actually get to hear the things that you're going to say. Do you know this segment? Do you know this part of the show?
I've seen you have somebody read off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anybody who hasn't watched this before, trash talk to me is fun, but it's also most of the times very silly because most of these guys don't know how to trash talk, or they don't have an issue with the guy that they're fighting, and so when they say it, it's very scripted and fake and just doesn't sound great. They say things like "pack your lunch." Hayden, and so you know, I go to the extreme and I find the worst trash talk possible. So I found this website that generates trash talk for you. So all you do is you press a button and it comes up with 4 words, and you just read them in order. So basically what everyone says is like, on August 9th, I'm going to beat Hayden Brown because he's and then they read the 4 words. They're usually terrible. They're awful. And there's no way anyone's ever really going to be offended by them. And also it doesn't make you look dumb because it's not really your trash talk. It's just some stupid computer generated trash talk. So with that being said, are you ready for some trash talk?
Just before we get into that, I just want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Bail Bonds. You know, they've really invested in me. You know, I'm a personal client, like I had mentioned in the cage before, and they've really helped me out in my life, not just in that dynamic of a bond agent. You know, they've helped push me to get into a good place in my life. I've been sober for coming up on 2 years, and
congratulations,
you know,
that's awesome.
Thank you. And you know, my family and friends, they have part of that as well, but it all started right there. So I just want to say thank you so much to Lucky Bail Bonds.
Awesome. Thank you, Lucky.
Yeah.
All right. So gotta be very careful because this thing is not great. So I just can't let it get unplugged.
I don't even want to touch it.
Yeah. I can't. Nope. It's not great is the problem. It's not expensive. It was free. So if you press that red button that says generate insult, the 4 words will come up. And they will be stupid, and we all know that. Everybody who watches knows that it's not going to be great.
It's telling me, what am I waiting for? I think it talks great trash.
It's these words right here.
Oh my gosh, I thought that was an advertisement.
Yeah. You know, it happens every time. It happens every time.
Oh, wow. Okay, so August 9th, me and Hayden, it's going to be going down. Hayden, you doodle-sniffing goblin sack.
Yeah, that's it. Yep, you doodle sniffing goblin sack. Listen, people, don't put it on the fighter. Put it on me. I make him do this. This is my way of. I don't know, just trying to do something here.
That was fun.
They're never great. No, there's actually been a few that have been good that I've been like, oh, that's awesome. So like occasionally there's a banger in there, but most of the time they're just awful.
Honestly, before I went into the cage, they're like, you guys, you know, you're gonna face off. I was like, oh man, I wish I had a trash talking emulator or something that would generate it for me. That way I could just read off of it. So I appreciate you doing that.
You know what? That you could get it. I'll send you the website. So next time you ever have to do that again, you can just do that. You can hop in there because you know sometimes I'll do it on my phone and you know whatever.
What was it called? PackYourLunch.com.
Oh, Hayden, we're never gonna let that down.
Sorry, buddy.
No, we're never gonna let that down. Pack your lunch, man. It sounds like he just wants you guys go to a picnic together. But this fight will not be a picnic for either one of you. It's going to be a tough fight for both of you. Everybody, this is going to be such a good fight. Please get your tickets now. If you're a fan of Nick, go to him, get your tickets, because every fighter you buy tickets from, it helps them out. If you can't get to him, go to stillfistfight.com to get your tickets. You can find us on Instagram at stillfistfight. You can find us on Facebook at stillfistfightnight. You can find this show on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and YouTube under Undefeated by Choice. Nick, do you have anything else? Anybody else you want to thank? Anything else you want to say before we go?
There's probably a million things I want to say, but
you got time, man. We got time.
Well, I'd like to thank Nana and Misty for coming with me up here, and all my family for always supporting me, and all my friends at Intermountain Lift that I work with, and just everybody who has my back. You know, you guys may not know it, but it means the world to me, and you guys keep me going. So thank you.
Awesome. Everybody, make sure you make it out to this fight August 9th. Do not miss this card. This is going to be a good one. Everybody, be good to yourself. Be good to each other. I love you.